it's always cool to see we've got a bit of a global audience, in the room. So yeah, let's crack into it, hey? So why e-learning? Why now? Arlo is traditionally a training management system, and obviously in May last year we released an e-learning add-on, which we're super excited about, and we've also just recently released also SCORM hosting, import, and delivery as well. So we're kind of like that full package now in terms of training management and delivery. We do champion the role of instructor-led training here at Arlo. It's super important to us, and it's one of our biggest mission statements. But the strengths of blended learning can't be ignored. It's super impactful. I'd love to know, how is your e-learning going, guys? What kind of end of the journey are you on? Have you kind of yet to start creating e-learning content? Are you all the way towards the end where you're weaving in e-learning and blended sessions to kind of create more of an impactful experience? Are you kind of a bit hesitant to start or don't have the time? I'd love to know any challenges or any frustrations you're facing or any positives that you've seen as well. I'd love to see that. Appreciate you guys jumping in on the chat there. So blended, right? Blended, it's not a new concept, but it's becoming more and more impactful as we kind of move throughout that kind of post-COVID into, the modern era, so to speak, I guess. And if I could boil it down to three reasons why blended is so powerful, based on all the interactions with customers, all the research that I've done, and just all the engagement with various different people using e-learning. Put into three places, right? It's flexible, it's effective, and it's profitable. From a flexibility perspective, your customers want it. There's no denying that. It's more accessible. There's less time disruption. So folks who are, taking courses via work, they're spending more time at work, and the training session isn't running as long. It's a modern experience. And from an effectiveness point of view, it's the best of both worlds, right? You're combining your really awesome instructor-led training on top of this kind of micro learning or this bite-sized e-learning or this kind of tailored e-learning experience with you're using SCORM or something similar. You can maximize live training, right? When they're in the room, you're able to really focus on those core hard-hitting concepts, and then use, I guess, e-learning as a theoretical approach. You can reinforce key concepts, it improves engagement, and you can measure that progress as well. So the student themselves, if they're taking perhaps a quiz, they'll see in real time their results, and you'll also be able to see that in the Arlo platform as well. And lastly, it's profitable, which is probably one of the most important aspects for those in the call today. There's less overheads. It's a lower cost per learner. You're able to drive that cost down because you're spending less time in the classroom booking out those kind of 3-day traditional courses. You can reuse content really easy and slice and dice and use it however you'd like. It's a scalable delivery approach. So once you've got that e-learning, you don't have to, throw it in the bin. You can reuse it in many different other ways and functions. And it enables you to differentiate your offer, ultimately. So what makes great e-learning, right? There's so many different aspects to it. And I think just like instructor-led training, we've all probably had experiences before, and whether it be in high school or university or beyond, where maybe we didn't gel with an instructor or something didn't really sit well with us in terms of like face-to-face education or training. E-learning is just the same, right? It needs to be impactful. It needs to complement live training, and it doesn't replace it. It needs to be personalized, needs to be modern, needs to be engaging, needs to be outcome-driven, not just a tick box exercise. I'm sure we've also been in those scenarios as well in the chat. It's easy to create. Obviously, that's really important for you and for your team, and it's easy to schedule and manage. And lastly, it's super accessible. So them being able to, your students and participants being able to jump in and access that content when and where they need it is also obviously super important. So how does Arlo help in all of this, right? So as I mentioned earlier, we're now an all-in-one training management platform. We can run your entire training operations across live, online, and blended formats with a platform that's kind of built for training providers. You can create content, you can schedule it to your website, you can promote it, you can deliver that content, you can certify based on the outcome of that course or that content, and then you can also report on the effectiveness of the course as well, all in one. So let's see it in action. It's a lot of talking from me. Unfortunately, I'm still going to keep talking, but I will jump into the demo now. Just wanted to kind of set you guys up with a bit of theoretical at the start. So around the concepts we're going to show today. Firstly, I'm going to create some world-class e-learning content. By world-class, what I mean is it's going to be agile, flexible, personalized. It's going to be self-paced e-learning. Arlo's removed the barrier to content creation now. We're also going to look at the new SCORM feature. So we're going to put SCORM to work. You've likely already invested heavily into SCORM. So we want to be able to bring that in and also show you how you can use it in Arlo. And thirdly, what we're going to do is we're going to create a blended experience. So we're going to deliver an innovative blended course. So we're going to reimagine what that could look like. We're going to tailor the experience. We're going to run a 2-day session with e-learning kind of spread throughout. And then lastly, if I have time, all within 30 minutes, we're also going to create a bonus self-paced e-learning as a value add to your business. So I'm going to show you how the content that we create at the start, we're going to be able to sell on the website as well. It's sort of like a differentiator or productizing your IP essentially for a new revenue stream. Awesome. So I believe that's time for us to jump into the demo. So let me just change my screen here and we'll get straight into it. So for those in the room who haven't seen Arlo before, I'll just quickly show you Arlo. So this is the dashboard. It's kind of like a command center. This is my own platform, Epic Training, kind of a fictitious training company that I use often. And you can see here, we can see all our upcoming courses. We can see how those courses are expected to run in terms of what's scheduled, what's upcoming, etc. See all the orders requiring approval, any financials. You can see all your current registrations and how you're tracking month to month, week to week, any recent registrations, and any orders that are overdue, and anything that you can also chase up, follow up, or automate. But we're here not to talk just about that today. We're here to talk about e-learning. So under the tab up here, we've got an e-learning content library. Now you can see I've been extremely busy and I've been building out content in my platform. But essentially, this is where all the content that you create, whether it be authored content or SCORM uploaded content, you can host everything here and reuse in courses, sell it on your website, etc. What I'm going to do is jump into create new content, and here we can see a bunch of different options. Here we've got a few different ways that we can either author content or upload, right? So we've got document to course. So I could have a physical PDF perhaps that I hand out or a digital PDF. I can upload that here and it's going to turn it into a bite-sized e-learning module, which I can then add my IP on, etc. We can generate a course. So using like a prompt like ChatGPT, which is what we'll be doing today. First of all, we can generate a course. We can convert a presentation, so something like a PowerPoint or a Google slide deck, we can bring that in and actually convert it into an e-learning module. If we don't like any of those options, we can actually start from scratch and build it ourselves if that's the kind of route we want to go. And lastly, our newest addition is that we can now upload SCORM as well, which is I'll show you after the first moment, and it's super easy to do and really intuitive. Right, so let's go ahead and generate a course. Let's get started. So the first concept we're going to do is create some e-learning content together, essentially. So what we need to do is go through a few different prompts, and I'm just going to kind of breeze through this so I can show you the actual creation piece. But essentially, we need to describe our course. Now, I've pre-written a prompt here, but essentially what I'm asking for it to do is Arlo to do is to create me a course for first aid aimed at office workers, so it's relevantly personalized. I want to include a slide around what to expect from the course. The course is a 2-day in-person session with 3 e-learning elements, this being one of them. The other 2 will be a knowledge check after day 1 and an exam quiz at the end of the course. So this is going to be pre-reading that I'm going to use in my blended session later on in this demonstration. I'm going to click submit. It's going to take that information, start, making the cogs turn, and so to speak. And then we're going to go through a couple of more prompts to kind of give the AI, I guess, really great context around what we're after. And then that's going to get started and building out our content. So let's gather some information about your audience. How familiar are they with this content? So this is around first aid for office workers specifically. I'm going to say they're beginners, right? They don't know anything about first aid, and I'm open to, introduce some concepts to them. I'm going to have to choose the audience. Are they new hires? So onboarding, is it one that I want to give myself, or are they just office employees? I'm going to choose office employees. And what should your audience achieve from this course, right? So it's asking about the outcome. Recognize common workplace injuries and illnesses, perform basic life support techniques, etc. I'm just going to go with recognize common workplace injuries and illnesses as kind of like an intro to first aid. You can choose any language that you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and choose English. And then we get to choose our tone. I always go with motivational and persuasive, but any of these kind of change the style of the font, but you can, the copy, but you can update that later on if you'd like. Then we need to choose the number of screens. Generally speaking, 5 to 10 for bite-sized e-learning is pretty good. For the purpose of this demo, I'm going to keep it short and sweet with 4 to 6. But you can go anything more than 20 screens. It depends on the presentation. I've seen upwards of 100 screens in some instances in terms of content being generated. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and generate the course. And what that's going to do is give me an outline of essentially the content that's going to be made today. So you can see the title, Empowering You, First Aid Essentials for the Office. And then we've got a bunch of different slides here. So these are all going to be different e-learning, I guess, screens or modules within the e-learning content itself. And that's also going to generate a quiz by default. I can drag and drop these around. I could, regenerate it if I like. If I didn't like the kind of titles and outcomes, I can remove things if I'd like. Let's say, for example, theoretically, I'm all happy with this. What we can do is click generate, and that's going to go ahead and start building out screens. So you can see the different titles that are coming in. We've got Empowering You, First Aid Essentials for the Office. We've got Your Journey to Becoming an Office First Aid Hero, Why First Aid Matters in Your Workspace, what you'll achieve, some course objectives. So this is kind of the course outline here. Power of early intervention. So it's building out content. Now, in some instances, things might be a bit too long or we don't like what's been created. Here it's given a really nice overview of the different modules of e-learning that we're going to be taking. Day one in practical session, e-learning module two, knowledge check, post day one. So it's taken all that information, right? So the better the prompt that you give it, essentially, the better the outcome. Just like when you use ChatGPT or Claude, or any of those other AI tools, the more information, the stronger the output is essentially, and the better the context. Awesome. So we've got our e-learning now built out, and I'm super stoked that it's picked up everything around the prompt as well. That's looking good. So let's say theoretically we're done here, right? We're happy with the content. What I can do, as I mentioned, is I can jump in here. This is quite a lot of text. There's a lot of different options for styling and editing, right? I'll breeze through this, but you can change the background, you can remove elements, you can adjust the images, you can pull in new images. We've got a full pre-built library where you've got your own image library. You can generate an image with AI that gives you some prompts. You can actually connect into a stock image library for free. And then there's also some GIFs if you're feeling that way inclined. You can add some GIFs in as well. Always keep things engaging. You can change the layouts, right? You can actually use AI to refine content. So if I click on some text, I can click refine and I could say make this shorter, as an example, and that's going to cut things down and make things a little bit more impactful. To have a look at the learner view, which is obviously one of the most important aspects of this, what we can do is click preview, and you can actually see what your learner will experience on the day that they're taking this content. So I can change to desktop, I can move into, iPad or iPad devices, I can look at mobile, and I can have a look at what all the different screens look like. And I can say, oh, this is a little bit long. I can then jump back and then come in here and edit that content. Now, in a world of, I guess, AI slop, you do need to be aware that this is rapid development and it is personalized, but you do need to obviously jump in and add your expertise as well as, professional is in the industry. Super easy to do. You can edit anything. As an example, I can edit this, I can edit this. Everything is super editable and easy to do. Also, from a branding perspective, which is obviously super important to maintain your IP, we've got a bunch of pre-built themes. I'm a big fan of the Lime one, and that's just what you do is you can click it, it'll update it for you, and then everything will update straight away. Let's say, for example, those themes aren't your cup of tea, so to speak. You can change all the fonts. You can come into the colors. You can adjust all the colors to anything that you'd like. You can add your logo. You can display that however you'd like. You've got your image library, as I already mentioned. You can see I've been uploading some images in the past. You can also now use a new feature called narration, AI narrations. You can choose a different narrator voice and actually have a screen reader that's going to help people take content if they have any accessibility reasons, or if they'd just like to perhaps take it as a visual, an audio e-learning piece as well. So super flexible on how you use that too. Breezing through this, but bear with me. So now that we've got all our content made, and let's say hypothetically we're super happy with this course, we've spent about an hour, if not longer, adding our content in and layering and weaving in our expertise. Let's say we're happy with it, right? So what I can do is click the publish button. You can see when it was last published, all the changes that were made, all that version control. I'm going to click publish, and then what we can do is then jump out here. And now essentially our course, the e-learning that we just made within a matter of minutes, is now ready to use in our blended scenario coming up. What we're going to do is click publish content, close, we're now good to go. I'm also going to jump in and show you SCORM really quickly. So under the e-learning content tab, create new content, here's all our e-learning options, and I go ahead and click upload SCORM. Now, for those that don't know, just before I get any further, also e-learning is actually free in Arlo until the 1st of April. So you're able to access both SCORM and e-learning if an Arlo customer or a new customer as well, and jump in and access all the different types of tools and things that I'm showing today for free until the 1st of April. There's a few caveats to that, but do reach out to your customer success manager or reach out to our sales team and they'll be able to walk you through everything as well if you have any questions. I'm also happy to answer them today for you as well. So SCORM, right? I'm going to drag and drop my SCORM package in here, and that's going to upload. It's as easy as that. Now, once I've uploaded it, it does take a while. SCORM is pretty beefy. There's a lot to it. So it does need to process and update and load into the system ready for us to use. But what we do have is this little handy notification box up here, right? And this notification box is going to tell you when your SCORM content is available to be used. So you can see yesterday I was obviously practicing, making sure that I could get the SCORM content in here ready to show everyone. So what I'm going to do is it's already worked. Perfect. So just now the SCORM has been processed successfully and is now ready to use. This SCORM content is traditional SCORM, I guess, so to speak, and it is around unconscious bias in the workplace. So what I can do is open my SCORM content, and just like our authored content, it's also going to display in the same kind of way. There's a few extra bells and whistles to SCORM, which I'll show you shortly. But what I did want to get across is that all the workflows that come with authored e-learning in Arlo, you can expect the same with SCORM as well. So it's just as impactful. You can use SCORM and authored content interchangeably. So on a course, for example, if you're running a blended experience, you could use both SCORM and authored e-learning depending on where the gaps were or where you needed to maybe make something new that was personalized quickly. You don't have to go away and get a learning designer. You can just jump into Arlo and build it yourself if that's something that you want to do. So version history, right? SCORM is big around the version history. There's constantly rapid updates coming depending on, I guess, the nature of the course and what you're trying to showcase. So we've uploaded our first version, version 0. And to upload a new version, it's very simple. All you have to do is click update. You can then upload your new version here, and that's going to upload in the same way, super quick. And you can choose all the registrants that are in your system, how they're going to be accessing that SCORM content. So you can choose, for example, when an existing enrollment is incomplete, when an enrollment has failed, give them the new version because you know that they haven't actually seen the previous version. So you've quite a lot of flexibility around how and when people get access to the, I guess, the later version of this SCORM package. So let's say, for example, happy with that, unconscious bias is all ready to go. Let's have a look at what that looks like, right? So all I need to do is click publish. And then if I'd like to check it out, what it looks like, make sure everything's working, I can just click preview. And that's going to load the player. Now, again, this is accessible across any device. You can view it on desktop, mobile, iPad, everything in between. So I've just loaded the SCORM, right? This was 2 minutes ago or a minute ago. You saw me load this, and it's already working, ready to roll. This again is a kind of traditional SCORM module, but everyone's got different ways of using SCORM and designing SCORM. This is kind of like I guess an example. So you can see I'm interacting with the content. Everything's working. Everything's smooth. It's got nice fade ups. We go through the content. I'll try and get this one right. Let's have a look. I got it right. There you go. Awesome. So there you go. That kind of shows you the SCORM content. So you've got a menu on the left-hand side here. So far, if I come back to my previous thing here, we've gone through 1 and 2. We've shown create world-class e-learning content, and we've put SCORM to work. But we've got one more thing to showcase today before we get into that standalone e-learning, and that's creating a blended experience. So in Arlo, for those who don't know, you're able to set up, schedule, and manage all of your courses. You can connect your instructors, your venues, everything all in together. And what we're going to do today is set up a course, a 2-day multi-session course, as we call it in Arlo, and then weave in some e-learning before, during, and afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new course, just really quickly around templates for those who aren't aware. I'm going to use something called a template in Arlo, and that's just going to pre-fill or autofill a lot of information. So I don't have to spend time because I know it's things that I'm going to be reusing. Think like website images, course descriptions, those sorts of things, the price, because I've already set that up in advance because I know that that's not going to change. It's a constant. So I'm creating here a 2-day course. It's going to be multiple sessions. It's going to cost $250, which is a great deal. It's going to be on my website. I'm going to advise it as a 2-day course. It's got a summary, description. We've got some images here. Now, again, this is all pulling in advance. It's all pre-filled. And yes, I want to display it on the website. It's also added all my e-learning that I've made already in advance as well. So if I wanted to add additional content, such as the content that I just made today, I can come down here and I can say Office First Aid, and there you go. You can see that content is already added into this course. Now, for e-learning specifically, there's a lot of granularity around when you make this content available. So as I mentioned, it's a 2-day course, and we want to be able to set the content to be accessible before the course, the next piece during the course or after the first session, and then the third piece after the course ends. So for availability, well, first of all, I should probably set up my sessions. That would probably help. So let's do the 26th of February, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And sorry, guys, I know I'm breezing through some things, but I just wanted to show you the concept, as I know this is only 30 minutes long. I want to make sure I cover everything for you today. So we've got two sessions here. The first session is on a Thursday. The second session is on a Monday. This is kind of all we need to know. Right, now the pre-reading, what we're going to do is make that available immediately. So as soon as they register for the course, they're going to get pre-reading on, and that's going to set them up for success for the course. It's going to tell them about the course content. It's going to tell them all the things they need to know around course details and things like that. That makes it super engaging, how to get parking, all that sort of stuff. For the second piece is a knowledge check. So after the first course ends at 4 p.m. on the Thursday, I want this knowledge check to come available, right? And that's going to be available over the Friday and then the weekend as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say on a date, and I'm going to say 26th of February, today in New Zealand. I am from the future. 4 p.m. become available. And I want that to be completed within 3 days. Apply. So then that knowledge check is going to be only accessible and be able to be completed between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So in the course on the Thursday, I'm going to advise my students and participants, hey, you're going to get the knowledge check. It's become available on your portal. I need you to complete that as kind of homework so I can see how the retention is going before we move into the second session, which is theoretically more advanced, as an example. Lastly, we've got a quiz. So this could be an exam, and I want this to be available when the course ends, right? Super simple. So we've made our sessions, we've got our content, it's all going to come accessible within a certain window. I'm going to just quickly add some other content here. I'll just breeze through this because I know we've only got 5 or so minutes. I am happy to stick around, guys, if you'd like me to answer your questions. Otherwise, we can definitely get those questions answered and sent out to you. So feel free to pop them in now, but I'm more than happy to stick around for a bit, of course, and answer anything that you have. I can see the chat's been pretty active. So create and approve. I've made the 2-day course, right? We've got our e-learning. You can see I've got e-learning, but hey, there's no e-learning. No one's accessed it yet, right? Well, I've got to create a registration first, of course. So let me just add myself in here really quick. My name is Ben again. We haven't met before. And you can see only one piece of e-learning has become available because that's only the one that we set up to be available straight away, right? And then at the end of the day, at 4 p.m. today, my second piece of content. Now I can see if it's been started or not as well, which is super slick. But if I just jump into my customer portal, so I'll just quickly show you the end user experience, which is obviously super important. You can see I've got all my different courses here. I've been a busy boy. I've been accessing lots of different content. And as an example, I could show you for e-learning specifically, this is how they'll see their content to access. All they have to do is click continue, and they're going to jump into the content straight away. And you can see here, I'm acting as a learner, essentially. Simple as that. There's a lot of other aspects to the customer portal, which I won't show now, but quickly you can see this one's due. You can see that when one is available and when one isn't, all that sort of good stuff. Cool. We've got 5 minutes. I think I can really quickly fit this in. So under selling things as e-learning, as standalone, what we're going to do is jump into e-learning. We're going to go into new e-learning. We're going to choose new e-learning. I'm going to go next. We're going to say first aid refresher. Let's just say theoretically. And we're selling, let's say we're selling our content, excuse my spelling. And let's say this is going to cost $150, right? And just pretend that this is all filled out with really exciting information around why they should register, why they should pay. Then what we need to do is choose our e-learning content. We go to Arlo hosted. What we do is come down and click the drop down. Let's say, for example, we'll choose the one that we made earlier, even though it's different subject matter. Offers first aid heroes, empowering you to act. We click next, we click done, we click create and approve. Everything's done. If I then go and jump onto my website, so if I go view on website, you can see the content's already here, and then I can actually jump in and access the content as well as a learner. And I can access that content and register and pay. Easy as that. So we've just added an additional revenue stream within a couple of moments there. Super simple. Alrighty, so we've got 3 minutes left. Let me just jump into presenter mode here. So we covered those 3 aspects. We also really quickly showed that off as well. Would be more than happy to show in more detail, and so would the team as well. So yeah, as I mentioned, if you're new to Arlo, please book a call. This QR code, if you'd like to scan it, will take you to our demo page, and you'll be able to, fill in some details and chat with our expert sales team. I'll just really quickly, sorry if you're about to take a photo of that, just show everyone who does have an Arlo account to turn this on. All you've got to do is go to settings, scroll down, and then under the advanced section, you'll see e-learning authoring access and SCORM e-learning access. So both of these are free until the 1st of April. All you've got with a few caveats, all you've got to do is jump in here and then go through a series of kind of T's and C's, accept, and then you're in. You'll be able to create content just as I was doing just before. But I'll just bring up that previous slide. And yeah, happy to stick around for as long as everyone would like. I'll be here as long as you need me. Any questions, Andre? Anything come through in the chat while I've been talking away?
Yeah, Ben, can you hear me?
I can. Yep, yep.
Yeah, lots of great chat, lots of great comments in the chat. A couple of kind of technical questions.
Sure.
One is, are you aware of the best SCORM file type or the recommended SCORM file type? I know we support a bunch. Yeah, is there a recommended kind of best practice there?
Yeah, that's on our help center. If you've visited our help center before, just type in Arlo Training Management Help Center into Google and it should show up for you, or you can find it through our website as well. And all the details around what content you are able to use and what you aren't will be listed in the help center. But it's quite extensive. I think it's three different main primary SCORM types, but you can also do audio, video, a bunch of other formats as well.
There was a question around the video. So, with our authoring tool, it needs to be hosted somewhere else. So you use a link, but with the SCORM importer, you can literally just load in a video
That's
as a
correct.
video file.
That's
So that
correct.
gives
Yeah.
some options. Cool. And another question was, have we increased the file size limit? And I remember seeing engineering about a week or two ago had done the work to increase the SCORM file package limit. Is that live in the platform?
That is a good question. I don't want to give you the wrong answer, but if we can get back to you on that, I will just check with the team. But I believe it's definitely in the work, if not works, if it hasn't been done already. But I believe so. But let me follow up, and I can come back to you on that one for
Sounds
sure.
good.
I'll
Yeah, I
send you
think
an
the
email.
work has definitely been completed, so it's just whether it's live now. Any
Correct.
other questions, folks? There was lots of chat. So yeah, and one other question was around, do you find the same course needs to be separately versioned for mobile versus computer? And it was more around,
SCORM
um,
specifically.
no, just e-learning in general, thinking about if people are on mobile or their desktop, how can you adapt to that, or do you need to make it more bite-sized for the lowest common denominator?
Yeah, good question. So authoring in Arlo, the first tool that I showed, that is all responsive. So regardless of what kind of way you make it, it's going to be working on any device, right? It's good to preview it before you publish it to make sure that it does look good on mobile, because obviously some things on desktop look better than they do on mobile. So you just need to check those devices that I did show using the preview tab and make sure that it's working and looking good. Does that kind of answer the question?
I think so, yeah, and it kind of depends on, we've seen people use e-learning in different ways, right? Some of it's more
Correct.
intensive kind of homework, and others is just kind of higher level quizzes reinforcing key concept, and that kind of changes it a little bit. I've got another question from Brian, which is a great one. Can the participant view the course as often as they would like? It's not just a one-time through and done. So yeah, what's the kind of access control, I guess, around the different e-learning content?
Great question, Brian. Yeah, so they can access the content as many times as they want. You saw me kind of access some other content before, and asked me to restart, so I can either continue where I left off, which was at the end, or I could restart and redo the course again. Obviously, when there's a quiz involved in things, there's different, I guess, caveats to that. But essentially, while the course is active, they are able to access that content, and then after the course is finished, I believe there is a window. I'm unsure specifically of the exact window, but there is. But that is all available on our Help Center as well in terms of the specifics of the length of access.
So when users go into their learner portal, they do have access to all of their e-learning content, but the training providers do have control, right, around when it's available and when they can access it. So it's quite granular. So you're not going to kind of inundate your learners with a bunch of content at the start of a course. You can
That's
choose
correct.
when it becomes available and when it becomes kind of inaccessible, so you can have more control around when they see and engage with the content, so you can make it available for longer, right?
Yep, 100%. And it sits, yeah, as you said, it sits in the customer portal, and they're able to access that content when and where they need it after the fact as well. But there is, yeah, an expiry date of sorts, but it's quite a long time. I can't remember the exact length of time, but I can definitely follow up with you 100%. I'll send you an email,
I
Brian.
think that was really interesting when we launched this. That was one of the top features around kind of controlling when that becomes available and kind of pushing people to complete it and sending reminders. So we've added a lot of functionality around kind of make when you make that e-learning content available and scheduling that for the right time, right place.
100%, 100%. Yeah, and thanks so much, guys, to everyone who's still with us. I really appreciate everyone jumping in today. I know it was a quick rapid fire session, but this will be recorded and sent out to everyone's inbox as well. So super stoked you could all make it as well. Feel free to send any more
One last
questions through.
comment, Ben,
Sure.
sorry, is are you able to copy and duplicate existing e-learning content?
No, that has been a feature request. So currently you're not able to, I guess, take one that's already been made, like, click a three dots option and then duplicate. I'd love to see that implemented in Arlo. I think that would be super helpful. I've found that myself building out content, but currently you're not able to duplicate content kind of like for like.
So editing and version control, making sure people have the latest version, all that's really tight. But yeah, just having that ability to duplicate existing content. So that's certainly a feature request.
100%, yeah. But definitely something that's come up before, and I know the team are aware of it.
Cool. So there's lots of thank yous from Alan, Leanne, Donald. So yeah, we really appreciate everyone joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks so much. And yeah, it is all free in Arlo until the 1st of April 2026. So jump in and have a go. And let us know what you think, what you like, and any feedback. We'd love to hear from you. So thanks so much, guys, and hope everyone has a great rest of the day or evening or tomorrow, depending on what time zone you're in. And yeah, thanks for joining.